I do hear about those, but it could never be me.
No.
Yeah.
You know what could be me though?
What's that?
Happy birthday, Emma.
Oh yeah, happy birthday, Emma. That's not what I was
no, I'm
gonna
not
say.
doing that. That's awful.
No, I was gonna say, I could be Gavin Ghouls.
I could be Gavin a
You
Ghoul.
could be Gavin a Goober.
I did say goobies earlier, so I
We could be goobing some gaps.
We could be goobing some
Goobing
gaps.
these ghouls.
I watched Legion from 2010, and
Oh no.
oh yes,
I remember the trailers for that
Me too.
movie,
See,
and I was like,
yeah.
wow, this looks really
so that's
dumb,
why we
and I
watched
never
it, is because we've seen the trailers and the old lady clip like a million times, but we've never watched the actual movie.
And by the old lady clip, I would like to clarify in the trailer. I've never
Yes.
seen a clip from this movie. It's just that the old lady was the core part of the trailer.
Yes. So we
I'm
watched
realizing
it.
I don't even remember the trailers because I don't remember anything about an old lady. Huh.
Yeah, there's
she
an old
crab
lady.
walks backward up the wall, all Exorcist style.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, those things just fall right out of my brain. I never bother remembering.
fair.
them.
I'd seen it enough times because it resurfaces like on YouTube and TikTok and Tumblr off and on.
Sure.
So here's the thing about Legion. It's not good, and
Okay.
but it's not. It's about as not good as like. There's a lot of movies we've watched from this era recently, but there are only a few that I rewatch and love, and that's like
How does it compare to X-Men Origins Wolverine?
It's exactly as good as X-Men Origins Wolverine, which
Yeah,
is to
actually, I
say,
think that's a perfect
I
comparison.
love it
frankly.
very much. Or League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. I think those are the two that I would pull, where it's like, these are not good, but there are so many fun scenes that just kind of flow that I'm not complaining. And
It's not as good as Constantine, but it is the same.
yes, if you like Constantine, you'll have fun with Legion. And this is, let me tell you something. So, Tilda Swinton as Gabriel in Constantine made me gay. Kevin Durand as Gabriel in Legion made me straight. This this man is
people playing
beefy
Gabriel. Characters
as
named
hell.
Gabriel just do
No, it
things
has to
you,
be
don't they?
the angel Gabriel or someone named after,
Or
like,
Gabriel
specifically.
Malignant.
He is, yeah. Anyway, he's beefy, he's wearing armor, he's got big fuck off wings and a huge mace, and then he grabs Paul Bettany's cheek and pulls him real close, and they two look soulfully into each other's eyes and beg each other to see their perspectives for like a solid 3 minutes.
Oh my god.
Ooh, interesting.
And then they fight.
Hot.
It was real.
And then Jigsaw shows up and is like,
Yeah.
hey, I've
I
planted
planted.
Like,
a
your
key
hand
in
goes.
your ether. Yeah.
You gotta get
Exactly.
it out somehow.
Exactly.
It was, oh god, it was really something special. Noah was there with me, and he got to hear me like literally like shrieking every time that something gayer happened, because I was like, oh, this could be this. I said this has the potential to be pretty gay, but I didn't expect it to go anywhere because it's a movie from 2010.
Well,
Yeah,
right.
gay marriage wasn't even legal yet.
It wasn't yet.
It wasn't, and making angels gay is like for me a recent obsession, so I hadn't even considered it in 2010, but this was incredible. So there's that. I loved it. I will be watching it again probably soon. And then I also watched He Never Died, which is
Jesus.
another, it's actually Cain.
Well, actually,
It is a biblical figure, but it is not Jesus.
Jesus did
Dang.
die. That was a pretty significant thing that happened.
I get where you're going, but it is very important to acknowledge.
So this is another,
They did, in fact, kill Jesus.
this is another biblical horror movie. And it's very fun. I don't really, thank you, Jeff, for sharing that picture of Gabriel in the
I wanted
chat.
to see what his mace looked like, because I as a design choice, right? I love the wings and mace combination.
It's
I just think that's very cool.
good. Oh gosh.
Spears, pole arms.
Jeff
in
loves
general also.
Warhammer. Everyone make fun of them.
Hey, listen. Saint Celestine wields a sword.
Okay. He Never Died. It's good. It's not what
It's
I
about the mark of
expected it to
Cain?
be. It's about Cain the person.
Okay.
In which Cain is cursed to never die. And he also hungers for human flesh, which is, I don't know why that part's there, but go off.
He's been around long enough.
Well, yeah. I
Okay,
mean,
yeah.
it's an immortal thing. You wouldn't get it.
And
Yeah.
he's
Prove to me everyone didn't used to back in the day. You can't. They're all dead.
So
Except for Kane.
it does a better job of the Ellie and Joel relationship than the like TV version of The Last of Us did for me. I didn't expect it to be another one of my favorite trope ever, which is which Legion was as well, which is this otherworldly, like immortal being relearning how to love humanity because of a specific human. And it was that. It was him and his daughter. And Kane, or Jack, he goes by Jack, is played by what's his face? Henry Rollins.
He goes by fucking Jack. What is he, C.S. Lewis?
Right?
Fuck off.
No, literally. It's like I have an embarrassing name that starts with a
No.
C. I'm going for Jack for some reason. Yeah,
No,
Emma,
what
what's
the
up?
fuck?
Really quick, because you mentioned your favorite trope being this immortal, otherworldly being learning how to love humanity again because of one person.
Yeah.
I think I've talked to you about this before, but you gotta watch Free Run. It's so good. You'll love it. It's that exactly.
That is my favorite thing ever. I was talking to someone else on another podcast about this literally like an hour ago. But I like everything that I've been obsessed with, you can trace it back to that trope. It's unfortunate. Except for Annihilation.
Why don't you love Psycho Gorman?
I do like Psycho Gorman. Anyway, he never died. It has Henry Rollins in it. I didn't expect him to be as good of an actor as he was. He was great. I love the character. I love how peeved he does a really, maybe the best version of a character who people keep asking him shit and he refuses to answer. He consistently refuses to answer. There is no moment where he even kind of lets up and starts telling people stuff until like almost the end of the movie. And even then he doesn't tell the full truth. The waitress is just like, so what do you do? And he proceeds to list every occupation he's had since the beginning of time, but does not elaborate on any of it. He's just like, yeah, I was in prison for a lot of it. I was a bodyguard. I made pots for a while.
I was a prostitute for a bit.
Probably. Anyway, I love him.
So Kane is played by Henry Rollins?
Yeah.
Oh my god, why didn't you lead with that?
Oh,
Holy
'cause
shit.
See, that's what I was gonna jump in and say something that like the lead of this movie is Henry Rollins. It's an important element.
It's really good. I had a lot of fun with it.
If you're sitting here thinking, wow, the Black Flag guy who just is really obnoxious and loud on podcast acted too, he acts better than you expect from everything he's ever put out into the world.
And the only other role I've seen him in was as a white supremacist on Sons of Anarchy.
Yeah, he did do that.
Yeah.
Which is more what you would expect from him.
Yeah. Not because he is one, but because he knows what he looks like.
Anyway, and then I did have one ghoul I forgot, which is Noah and I watched Frankenstein's Army.
Ooh, yeah.
And let me tell you real quick, because I had no idea what I was getting into, and I feel like if anyone wants to watch this, you should know more than I did. It's a found footage movie set near the end of World War II of a bunch of Russian soldiers trying to do. It's very Overlord, but
they're making it like a propaganda movie.
It's literally
like the idea.
It's it's Overlord, but found footage and from the like point of view of a squad of Russian soldiers.
Okay.
It was made by a concept artist. The director and writer and everything is a concept artist, and that really, really shows because the creature design is phenomenal, but it's very much a haunted house style movie where we're just kind of going through this like sequence of rooms and stuff's jumping out at us.
Yeah. Okay.
But if you like visual effects and you like Nazi killing movies, and you like body horror, this one is very, very fun. So
this is a must-watch, is what I'm hearing.
Yeah, I think you'd really like it, Jeff, honestly. Just, don't go in there for the plot.
I figured I would.
Yeah. Okay, Jeff, what do you got for us?
So, what I've got is an awful lot of what Noah's got. Well, not an awful lot of what Noah's got, because Noah's watched like a million movies in the last couple of weeks.
I'm holding true to my 366 movies by the end of the year.
Yeah, I mean, clearly you're keeping up with it.
I'm 10 movies ahead right now.
Wow. But at time of recording, 2 days ago, me and Noah and a couple of other friends had a spin the wheel random movie day where we had a mix of good and bad movies, and it was a lot. We watched Lucio Fulci's Zombie. We watched Sam Raimi's Darkman.
Mm-hmm.
What, the original House on Haunted Hill with Vincent Price, which was silly.
Actually, really like decent too.
Yeah. What was the weird one that the whole time we were just like, I don't know how much sense this makes, and it was all like slimy and shit. Extra. That was a weird one.
Sorry, Rob. I did not like it.
Not so into that one. I mean, I don't think
was that by Rob Zombie?
No.
Or
our friend Rob recommended it.
Suggested
My friend Rob.
I walked into the room. I got home from work while they were watching Extra. I walk into the room and I say, "How's it going?" And Rob says, "We're watching the slimiest movie ever made." And I said, "How slimy is it?" And he said, "It's the slimiest movie ever made." I just said that.
Now, based off that, I thought the movie was a little dry. When you say it's the slimiest movie ever made, I'm expecting it to be a little wetter than this movie ended up being. Yeah. We did have a guy just like eating snake eggs at one point though, which is very strange. It was a weird scene, and I don't think the insides of snake eggs actually has that color or consistency whatsoever. So all in all, not super into that movie. Sam Raimi's Darkman though. This is a comic book adaptation, and it's Sam Raimi doing a comic book adaptation to try and get attention so someone would let him make a Spider-Man movie. And when you go into it knowing it's a precursor to the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies, basically, what you end up seeing in it is lower budget early versions of everything that you see in the first two Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies.
Okay.
Which means that it's fun as shit.
That's awesome.
I kind of loved it, actually. Is it, like, good? Not really, no. But if you enjoy a Sam Raimi, you're gonna enjoy it. It's Liam Neeson being like a weird flavor of superhero.
Liam Neeson?
Yeah.
It's Liam Neeson. Yeah, and it's...
Wow.
Yeah, it's... I don't know, not a manner of role that I'm super used to seeing him in, because it's not like, I don't know, basic one-note action or literally God. So...
Yeah. Or Qui-Gon Jinn.
Or John Paul Jones in the hit TV series Liberty's Kids.
Fuck, was that him?
That was him.
I never knew that.
Yeah, I knew that because I had a huge
Everyone
crush
that
on
I've ever known who saw that show, the only thing they remember clearly about it is how hot John Paul Jones was in it.
Yeah. Well, and here's the funny thing is
That's
when we got to that,
all anyone talks about from that show.
When we got to that in history when I was in school later on, I found out that is actually consistent with historic records, that a lot of people who met him, friend or foe, did note that
everyone said he was hot.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. Oh my god.
It makes sense. I mean,
he's a Scottish pirate. Maybe they were just taken with the everything about him.
When you get involved in a fucking war and your entire basis for supporting this revolution is I just hate England, you're already like on the right track.
Yeah, for sure.
Wow.
Anyway.
That's pretty great. Anyway, yeah, Noah, there's another movie that I was forgetting about, isn't there?
Did you say Demons?
Demons, that's it. Yo, yeah. Lamberto Bava's Demons, which is like produced and co-written by Dario Argento. It's got a Goblin soundtrack on it. I hadn't seen it yet. I'd been meaning to for a while. Super fun. Very sort of zombie outbreak styled demon possession stuff. Not in a When Evil Lurks kind of way though, obviously. It's a little bit more like Giallo flavored Night of the Demons, if you've seen that one.
Nope.
None of you have seen Night of the Demons? Yeah, all right. That makes sense. That makes absolute sense. It's very similar to that, though. Really fun execution throughout most of it. Really fun ending as well. I liked it a lot. Also, it's just got a gang of annoying punks in it, and that just always takes an 80s movie to the next level. It's why Return of the Living Dead is so good. It's why Night of the Demons is as good as it is. Not that Night of the Demons is like great or anything. It's no Return of the Living Dead, but
love it.
Yeah, and I've talked about Lucio Fulci's Zombie on here before, so I'm not gonna, it's just neat. Once again,
it's just neat.
Once again, real fun ending and such. Yeah,
that sounds like a really fun party, though.
It really was.
Group hangout.
Yeah, we were drinking plum wine
and eating shepherd's
pie. Speaking of like confusing movies where you're watching it and you're like, I'm not entirely sure what's happening. One of my favorite group movie watches was back in college. I used to host movie nights at my apartment like pretty frequently. And one time we decided like everybody gathered and we were picking out a movie, and somebody was like, I kind of want to watch like an anime movie.
Oh,
and they were like,
okay.
do you have any anime movies, Emma? Because everybody knew I liked anime. And so I was like, and I think the only one I had back then was Akira. And I was like, we can watch Akira. This is like a very notable anime movie. It kind of popularized anime in the West. But I was like, but it's very weird. And they're like, okay, that's fine. And I don't know if any of you have watched Akira.
I haven't. It's
Not
been on
yet.
my list for a little while.
Yeah.
I've heard that it's
Okay.
good, but I have not heard anything else.
I know it's the source
The
of that
animation
sound from
is-
TikTok.
The animation is incredible. The story behind like it getting made and all of like the work and stuff that was put into it is insane. The movie itself is very confusing. The manga for it like explains everything really well, but the movie, because it's like obviously shorter than a manga would be, it doesn't fully explain quite a bit. And so there are so many main plot threads where you're like, what the fuck is happening? And so as we were watching, everybody was confused. And I was laughing. And my friend Josh, who had seen the movie, and I love my friend Josh. Josh is incredible. But he kept being like, okay, don't worry. This next scene is where it's all coming together. This is where it's all going to start making sense. And he kept doing that throughout like the entirety of the movie after like the middle part.
Me making people
And
watch
it was-
Argento movies.
Such a good meme. And it was so funny.
Oh
I love it. It's so good. But
That's
for
good.
my ghouls,
Yeah.
I don't have many ghouls to cap.
Sure.
But after our last episode where I was talking about introducing the VTubing crew to Haunting of Hill House, and we watched like the first 4 episodes,
Yeah.
I think that night we decided to get together and watch episodes 5 and 6.
Nice.
Which obviously episodes 5 and 6 are incredible.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
That's the Nelly episode, and then the Wake episode for
Mhm.
everybody who doesn't remember episodes 5 and 6. But we watched that and then proceeded to stay up until 6 a.m. because everybody was like, we have to keep watching. We have to keep watching the show. And around 3, we had finished the 3rd to last episode, and people were like, okay, I can do one more. And internally, I was like, if we do one more, we're absolutely going to finish this show tonight, and we're going to be up till 6 a.m. And then we were. And they loved the experience. They were extremely emotional about it.
That ending is
They
like
had
that.
Everybody had a lot of feelings, but they were obsessed. And now I'm trying to get another watch party together so we can start either Bly Manor or Midnight Mass. I'm not entirely sure which one I want to put them onto next. It would make sense to do Bly Manor next,
Yeah.
just to keep it chronological.
I also
but
think that the release order, just to me on a tonal level, kind of ramps into Midnight Mass from.
Yeah, Midnight
Yeah.
Mass is I don't know, it's not like bigger, but it feels like it delves deeper into itself.
Yeah. The only point against Bly Manor that I have right now is like 1 or 2 of the other movies I've watched with this group recently have been about old, creepy, haunted houses.
Oh,
Right.
And so I'm like, is this too many haunted houses to show people?
That's true.
But I'll figure it out. It'll be good.
I mean, either
um,
way, they're gonna like it. I
Yeah.
mean, you
Either way, they're
basically
gonna
know
like it.
that.
It's gonna be a good
If
time.
Mike
Yeah,
has already hooked him, then like he's not gonna let him down.
of course.
we know this.
But
Except in that
Another-
one episode.
A Bly Manor.
Yeah.
Bly Manor, yeah.
It's not that great, but it's not
It's
even
not
that
my
bad.
favorite.
At that point, it's like you can have a flop
Which-
because the rest of it's so good. I'm gonna keep
The
watching.
black and white episode. I don't care for
I
it.
loved that episode. What are you talking about?
I don't care for it.
it's very
I
different.
did not care for
Yeah, it's experimental.
it. Did not care for it.
I watched one other movie, but honestly, I've been so busy. I've just been so busy, and it's so hard. because I've been playing so much Final Fantasy VII Rebirth since it came out.
That's kind of like a movie.
And it's practically a movie. It's so good. I'm 62 hours into it, I think. And there's still so much game left. And it's crazy. It's crazy how big this game is. And how much stuff is in it. But I'm in love, and it's fantastic. But the only other movie I've watched since last time is like a little indie movie. I don't even know if you all have heard of it.
Oh my God.
Called Dune Part 2.
Oh, I have heard something about this. I'm pretty sure.
Is that the first one?
Good.
That's the one with the worms, right?
Yeah, it has worms. Yeah. It's got worms.
I think that's Dune Messiah.
It has like sand. And
I hate sand.
Oh, the Phantom Menace.
A criticism of messianic kind of white savior stories.
Oh, so the Phantom Menace.
Right, naturally.
Yeah, it's pretty much Star Wars.
Okay.
I'm surprised Disney hasn't sued them for copying Star Wars.
Well, I mean, it's kind of just like a halfway point between Star Wars and like Warhammer 40K.
Oh my God!
Oh, shut up! I'm ending the bit just so I can talk about Dune.
Isn't Warhammer 40K? Isn't Warhammer 40K inspired by Dune like pretty explicitly?
Largely.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah. Star Wars was also pretty explicitly copying Dune, to the point where when Frank Herbert saw Star Wars, he was like, I'm going to try very hard not to sue.
I'm proud of him.
The strength of Star Wars is that it just drew its inspiration so deeply from so many sources that nobody could quite make a claim, because it's like, it's Westerns, it's samurai stuff, but then it's also Dune, and then it's also like a handful of other things.
And it's like, we can't all sue Star Wars. At some point, we just have to admit that when you mash a bunch of shit together like that, it does make a decently original story.
I don't want to talk about this. I want to talk about Dune.
I want to talk about...
Let's talk about these worms.
I fucking love Dune.
Dune was good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, as part of my birthday celebration.
Oh, it's your birthday.
I was like, Piper... We already talked about it. I'm sure that whole bit is going to make it into the episode somehow. So I think as part of my birthday celebration, because I'm not really doing much today, I was like, Piper, can we go see Dune Part 2? Because I hadn't watched Part 1 until that week, because I'd heard such amazing things about Part 2. So I was like, I'll finally watch Part 1. And then I watched it and I enjoyed it. And I was like, now I want to see Part 2 while it's in theaters, because I feel like Part 1 would have been really fun to watch in theaters.
That's exactly what Nina and I did.
What we did too.
Yeah.
And so went and saw Part 2. We didn't have time to watch Part 1 that week with Piper, so Piper hadn't seen Part 1. I found a good synopsis video online and sent it to Piper, and it covered all the major points and also explained some just other Dune lore that the movie doesn't cover very
Dune
well.
Has so much fucking lore in it. Holy shit.
Yeah. So it was a really good recap video, and it did the job. It worked.
Surely that runs for about the same length as Dune Part 1.
No, it was 6 minutes.
What the fuck? There's no possible way you can condense Dune that much.
I'll send you the video.
Please
it's
post
a good
the video. I want to watch
I have to check that out. That's
Yeah, I mean, when you kind of strip Dune Part 1 down to its base components, there's not too much.
I guess the big thing is just that it's got such a ridiculous amount of world building in it. That's really what occupies most of the space in any Dune property.
Yeah.
That's why David Lynch couldn't do it.
Yeah, but very, very good movie. It's very kind of slower paced sci-fi, but the set pieces, the CGI, costuming, everything was really, really well done. It is, I've seen on TikTok, various people kind of responding to discourse of people being like, oh, don't watch Dune because it's a white savior trope and all of this stuff. And people are like, no, This is very explicitly a criticism of the white savior
I
trope.
was talking about this with Nina. I don't know how you can watch 2 3-hour movies where anytime Paul does something, bad music starts playing. It's like the music tells you this is the worst thing that could ever happen. And Paul's like riding the sandworm and everyone's like, this is amazing. And the music's like, dun, 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 dun. Like, it is the movie. And so many times it's just like, Paul shouldn't do this. And Paul's like, I really shouldn't do this. And they're like, you gotta do it, Paul. And he does it. And then the worst shit happens. And he's just like, I guess I'm doing it now. And everyone's like, yay, he's doing it. And then the music goes bad again.
Yeah, the music's just like, he's doing it. Dun, dun.
This is a bad thing.
Yeah, you get the vocalizing music sting that does not invoke good emotions.
God, the soundtrack on these movies absolutely slaps. I don't always love Hans Zimmer, but goddamn,
sometimes he goes off. I think this movie and Prince of Egypt, which he also did, are the 2 big ones for me with him.
I don't think there is a composer that I am more violently hot and cold on than Hans Zimmer.
True, absolutely true.
When I don't like him, God, I hate him. But when he hits it, ooh.
But when he hits that gritty... Whew.
He is most certainly hitting the grittiest of all because it's sand.
Huge fan of Dune, though. Easily, I think the sexiest movie I've seen this year. It was so fun to look at.
In much the same way that Oppenheimer kind of dominated in the Oscars this year, I'm very excited to see Dune just collect so many awards next year. But also, speaking of the Oscars, since one of us brought it up, the I'm Just Ken performance at the Oscars, I don't know if you've all watched it, but if you haven't, do yourself a favor.
I haven't seen it yet, but it's on my to-do list after we record.
I'm trying to avoid Barbie spoilers until I watch it, so.
Oh, okay.
Do you want to come over and watch Barbie?
Watch it. Damn.
I mean, I'm gonna have to eventually.
Yeah, Dune Part 2 good. Last thing I have to say about Dune Part 2, seeing
Stilgar.
Stilgar.
I love that man.
I love him so much. I was gonna say saying
he's so humble. Isn't this great?
I was sitting next to Nina in the theater. Literally, anytime Stilgar did anything, I would hear a voice from beside me just whispering, "Stilgar, my beloved."
He's so perfect. I love him so much. What I was gonna say is seeing clips of Javier Bardem and Josh Brolin on set, where I had totally forgot that because Javier Bardem is so good at acting. I had forgotten that he's in No Country for Old Men. I knew Josh Brolin was. I was like, yeah, that's Josh Brolin from No Country for Old Men. And then Javier Bardem's like, I love this man. This is a No Country for Old Men reunion. And Josh Brolin is like, that's like the easiest movie title to say and everyone still gets it wrong. And I'm like, I love these. I love them. I totally forgot.
I did not realize Stilgar was Javier Bardem.
Yeah, same.
Like watching part 1, I was like,
this guy's familiar.
Did not recognize that actor at all. I was like, oh, this is cool. I don't know who this person is. I like that I don't recognize an actor and they're doing a really good job. And then I started seeing more like of the press tour for part 2. And Javier Bardem was there, and I was like, who the fuck does he play? I was like, I'm confused. They're talking about him being in part 1. I don't remember him. And then eventually it said Stilgar, and I was like, wait a second.
Yeah, I have kind of the opposite thing to Nina, where I didn't recognize Javier Bardem in Dune, and I never remember that that's Josh Brolin in No Country for Old Men.
Yeah.
I had this thing where I forgot who Javier Bardem was until Nina said No Country for Old Men. And then I was like, who'd he play in that?
The most iconic character in the movie.
Yeah, one of actually maybe the most iconic film characters.
Absolutely.
So it's my turn to gab real quick. I know we're running short on gabbing time.
The highlights of your last, 25 movies?
Roundabout, yep.
You said?
Roundabout 25. I saw The Death of David Cronenberg.
Oh yeah.
He made
So did I.
himself
He
sad.
died?
I made myself very
He sure
sad.
did.
We watched it right before going to a funeral, and it was kind of like why did I do
Wrong
that
time
kind
for
of
that.
moment.
Yeah.
Um,
That's
Yeah.
Really good though, definitely worth checking out. Find the rip that's on YouTube that doesn't have someone scoring it themselves. It is a silent affair. There's like some
Okay.
noise to it, but if there's music, it's the wrong one.
right. It's
Heat.
something.
I watched Heat because the entire
Okay.
Payday franchise was inspired by Heat. Great time. Watch for the iconic scene of Al Pacino going, "She's got a great ass," and then also for the rest of the movie.
Oh, that's where that's from. All right.
It is, yeah. That's exactly how I felt when it happened. Total Recall. You may remember we watched Total Recall like 3 months ago. We watched the
Yeah.
remake. The remake sucks, but
Makes sense.
if it wasn't that I knew it was a remake, it might be fine. But knowing what it took from and got to, very sad and depressing.
Colin Firth is hot though, so
He is.
Colin Firth, Colin
always
Farrell.
is.
Farrell, yeah.
Oh.
Colin
also,
Firth is also hot.
Shout out to Discord Sean. I watched Thanksgiving. I had a blast with Thanksgiving.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, it's Eli Roth doing what he does best, which is make a bunch of really nasty things happen to people.
Only Eli Roth movie I've watched so far is Cabin Fever.
Yeah, I would watch Thanksgiving because it's way better.
Okay. I would hope. No spoilers for
Didn't-
my opinion on Cabin Fever. I wasn't a super fan of it though.
Didn't Eli Roth also do Cabin in the Woods?
No, that's the other guy.
In the Woods? No. That was Joss Whedon.
Yeah.
No, Joss Whedon was
Cabin in the Woods.
like Ghostwriter. He didn't direct
No, it was
Oh, right,
Derek
yeah.
something was or Devin or D something. It was
How do we
D.
forget this shit so quickly?
Eli Roth is like the Hostel guy.
Yeah.
He's doing the new
I know
Borderlands.
he was the Bear Jew and
Drew
Goddard
Goddard.
did Cabin Wood. Okay.
Drew
yeah.
Goddard, Cabin in the Woods.
Eli Roth was the Bear
He
Jew
was.
in
He's got a
Inglourious
really-
Bastards.
that one movie.
He's got a
Thank
really
you.
Yeah, yeah.
iconic
Inglourious
face.
I
Bastards.
gotta watch that again.
I
Interesting.
want to watch that one again too. I love that movie.
He also, speaking of Inglourious Bastards, he directed the Nazi propaganda film in the movie.
Oh, that makes sense.
Oh,
Yeah, the
Really?
one about that
Makes
weird
sense.
little sniper guy that plays in the background
Yeah.
while they go and they blow up Hitler or whatever. Yeah.
That's fun.
Yeah.
What do
Anyway,
you call it? Thanksgiving? Great time. I don't know. I'm feeling the call of westerns. I'm about to fall down a western hole pretty soon. I watched Joe Kidd, which was okay, but it reminded
Alright.
me that Clint Eastwood westerns exist, specifically of the spaghetti variety. So I'm gonna be watching
yeah.
the Dollars trilogy as soon as Nina and I can carve out 9 hours to sit down and watch them all.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. I'm having a wonderful time here. It's nice to come back to, I don't know, to movies I used to like. I was telling Nina this the
Right.
other day. I have felt weirdly fulfilled doing this, watching this many movies. I don't know what it is, but I feel like I have more time in my day with this being my goal. Because it used to be I'd get home from
Oh, okay.
work, I'd play Baldur's Gate for 5 hours, I would go to bed, and I like Baldur's Gate. Baldur's Gate's great. I like video games. I have a lot of fun with it. And video games are a very real and legitimate art form that can tell a great story.
Absolutely.
Flat out. No asterisk on that. But for me, they were eating a lot of my time. And watching these movies and just like having this goal of finishing movie a day for the year being like my big achievement goal for the year, I feel like I have a lot more free time. You know, we went off and we saw my favorite artist in concert, and it like kicked me off into wanting to like finally like act, you know, my once a month, I really need to get back into music bug has been woken up again. But I also, since my goal is to sit down and watch a like 80-minute to 2.5 hour movie on average daily, I have a lot more free time relatively, and I feel like I could get into reading again. Which is very exciting since having watched Dune, I might try and pick up Dune.
I've been saying that I am going to try and actually read Dune again sometime soon for like a couple of years now.
I've never read Dune. That was never one of the books handed me when I was eating books by the bucketful, unfortunately.
Well, right, because you were a bit young for it at the time.
I got Prelude to Foundation at one point. If someone's going to hand me one of the Foundation books, I think I could have read Dune.
I'm not familiar with them, so.
It's Isaac Asimov. high
Oh, yeah, yeah,
concept sci-fi.
And also, typically with all the same objectionable content that you might find in a Dune, but
Yeah, pretty much. But having a lot of fun, feeling great getting into these movies. It's been a good time. Also, just a little. Here's one last quickie. I dipped my toe back into mob movies. I watched Black Mass. Not good. Did not enjoy it. It's one
that
of
doesn't
those
sound like a title for a mob movie.
Well, it's about a real life situation.
Oh,
It's with Johnny
Yeah.
Depp, right?
Yeah, Johnny Depp is playing Whitey Bulger, the South Boston mafia guy who was related to a state senator.
oh, okay.
Yeah, he's like not a good guy, blah 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 blah. I bought it because someone told me it was really good, but watching it, I'm just like, oh, this is not great. There's great performances, but it's one of those movies where you feel like you're watching and it's like, and then sadly he was caught by the cops and stopped. Isn't that devastating? I don't like my mob movies like that. I don't need to sit here and be like, all bad people need punished at the end of the day for me, but I do need to not have the movie imply to me that I should feel sad when a very awful
Mr.
person,
Evil.
yeah, when Mr. Evil gets taken down.
Yeah.
I don't know, didn't quite land. Amazing performance from Depp though, like actually transcendent.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
He does that every now and then.
Yeah, he really pops off every now and then. It's a shame that he's probably going to be best remembered for like his Tim Burton shit because that stuff is so phoned in.
Yeah,
But people like
and
it.
I get so frustrated when I talk about him doing something that's actually like outside of that kind of thing that he gets stuck into. But then when I say it, somebody's always like, "Oh, it's Johnny Depp. Nothing's outside of his usual wheelhouse." And I'm like, "No, no, no. You have no idea how fucking narrow your idea of this man's range is." Just crawl out of Tim Burton's ass for like 2 minutes, and I don't hate Tim Burton. I just don't like him.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's valid.
I think that's probably the spot to sit, right?
I guess.
valid opinion.
Speaking of valid opinions, the music.
Ooh.
I just cracked like
Whenever you're
every
ready.
bone from
Yeah, I
my
heard a
like
couple of
waist
those.
up. That shouldn't be coming through Discord with the bad audio suppression now. Welcome back to Casual Obsession, the horror movie podcast where we talk about horror movies. We are continuing March of the Zombie. Oh, fuck. While we continue March of the Zombie, sidebar with the host. What are we watching next? I forgot.
It's Clown in a Cornfield next, isn't it?
No,
Or-
it's
no.
Was it?
I suggested, and you said that you could, and nobody else commented on it.
I didn't hear that. So,
Okay, so sidebar while
Yeah,
I
I'm
intro, y'all can talk over text. Welcome back to Casual Obsession, the horror movie podcast where we talk about horror movies. I'm your host Noah, and today we're continuing March of the Zombies. There was never any edit. It happened just
There
like
was
that.
never an edit. Yeah.
Jamie, clean this up. Today we are watching Blood Quantum, released in 2020 or 2019, depending on whether you're running Festival Circuit versus what Shudder says on their website. It depends. But Shudder released it in 2020. Hit the circuit in 2019. I'm probably going to say 2020 because that's the notes I took until I looked into it a little deeper. Ayo. Anyway, I'm Noah, and with me today, I got Jeff.
Hello.
I got Birthday Emma, which is +1 from regular Emma, I'm going to say.
It's one more now, isn't it?
Hi, it's me, Birthday Emma.
Oh.
I'm here. I'm ready to chat.
Oh my god, Birthday Emma sounds like that.
Holy shit.
I can't believe Birthday Emma's going to sound like that for the rest of the year till the next birthday. As we all know, that's how birthdays work.
Is that how that works?
Yeah.
Oh, it's like
I'm
it's
so
like
excited.
it's like in Doctor Who. It's his birthday, and he turns into a different person, and then he just is that person. till
that's
his
how
next
it
birthday.
works.
Yeah, that's Doctor Who.
correct.
That's how Doctor Who
That's how
works,
Doctor
isn't
Who-
it?
Yeah, that's how regeneration works in Doctor Who. Absolutely.
Oh my god, Anime Emma is gonna absolutely throw me off my game.
I was about to say Ann Emma, but that,
Anemone.
That's my favorite Tool album.
And also,
And I got
Nina's
Nina!
Hi, yeah, I'm here. Hi.
Oh boy.
This is our first episode. Peek behind the curtain. This is our first episode in a while that we haven't recorded at like 8 p.m. to like midnight.
Yeah.
So the energy might be a little higher.
I didn't work today. I feel fantastic. Usually I'm coming off a 9-hour shift.
We're recording on my birthday at 3 p.m.
3 p.m. Oh my god. Today we're watching Blood Quantum. Wait, YouTuber top 10 voice? Today we're watching Blood Quantum.
It's not your birthday. It's my
Podcast
birthday.
is somebody else's zombie movie.
You guys did 3 bits all at the same time.
Number 11, Burger King foot lettuce.
My cheeks hurt. Anyway, guys, welcome to the podcast.
We got Blood Quantum.
We got Blood Quantum.
Fuck, what a mess. Let me just give you a rundown of...
What's the short synopsis
The
of
short
this?
synopsis of this. It's a everyday day. It's a... Oh
Everyday
my God.
bro. Do you want me to do this?
No. Another day in the
What's
life.
going on with you today, Noah?
I'm having a good day. Am I not allowed to have a good day? No big deal. We just recorded a full 40-minute block of ghouls where I was totally normal. And then this happened.
I suppose.
It's just an average day for Sheriff Trailer as he goes around doing sheriff things. Unfortunately, this is his last normal day for a while. He gets a call. His son got picked up in town, and he needs to go let him out. He had to put down his ex-wife's dog because the dog got into some rat poison. And more importantly, when his dad was fishing, the fish came back to life. So
Doesn't normally happen.
This is our first clue that the day is not going to be a normal day. Over the course of a very long afternoon, he's trying to figure out exactly what's going on. He spends time with his dad and burns the fish, and also his dog that he had to put down a second time because it came back to life because zombies.
Zombie dog. The dog dies twice.
Yeah. So there's your very first content warning. Dog dies twice.
It's like a twice baked potato, but it's a twice dead
What
dog.
the
I am so sorry.
Nina, what?
Sometimes
Canceled.
I
Cancel Nina.
Obviously,
like
it's
to-
more like refried beans where you kill the dog and then you kill the dog again.
Cancel Jeff. What the fuck is this?
Cancel
I
Jeff.
can't believe I'm the voice of reason in this week's episode. Me and birthday Emma, and that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Us two. Voices of reason.
Fuck. Oh, geez. Anyway,
So then zombies start happening.
yeah, zombies start happening as he goes into
And we'll stop
he goes
there.
into town to pick up his kid, and I'm gonna go to the time skip because I feel like that's a good spot to stop. There's a time skip, by the way. Spoiler alert. He goes to pick up his kid, and his kid is in there. Lysol is also his child, right? Just
Yes.
like from when he was
Yeah.
like a teen or something.
Yeah, with a different.
Yeah.
So what is it? Lysol and Joe?
Joseph.
Yeah, Lysol and Joseph are in the drunk tank because Joseph shit on a moving car, which I'm gonna say is actually very impressive. He hit the car.
Actually.
But then he fell
Yeah.
down onto the car, so he ended up getting picked up for drunkenly shitting on a moving car. But in the drunk tank with them is a dude who is puking his guts out with blood. He's a zombie already, but they just don't know it yet. When they go to pick him up, we get a little touch of the police brutality where the townie sheriff is like not down with this guy being a hassle and hindrance, and also I think the zombie bit him.
He bites
so-
him. He doesn't like the way he gets all bitey at him.
Yeah, so they lock the guy up and they leave. And unfortunately, this is not the first touch of zombies, nor the last touch of zombies we're going to see over the course of this. Trailer goes and does the rest of his rounds for the day and comes on another family with a zombie situation. And just as things are starting to ramp up, they're out of tetanus shots because some people are just really getting bitey today for some reason. His wife or ex-wife Joss works at the hospital. Power goes out, zombies abound, and we get a time skip. Anyway, that's all I got for that.
Yeah.
For now.
Time skip. Let's go.
I always find it very funny when I host an episode and then I have my block of dedicated content that immediately comes after. I always find that very funny. So thank you all for dealing with me as I will now continue to keep talking.
Hey, Noah, keep talking for us.
Thank you, Emma. We got the rating section.
It's not your birthday. Don't do the voice.
That's true. That's true. You shouldn't do the birthday voice when it's not your birthday.
Cancel Noah.
Shit.
Always Sunny music. The gang gets canceled.
Emma gets canceled for appropriating excited anime voice. Anime? What am I, a Looney Tunes character? Anime?
Anyway.
IMDb with a 7.9 out of 10. Rotten Tomatoes with a 92%. Metacritic with a 76%. Letterboxd with a clean 4 out of 5.
Woo! Pretty generally enjoyed movie.
Yeah. We got a lot going here. So I got an Ebert in here from our boy Brian Tallerico, who seems to be one of their more prolific writers in the horror field. Either that or we just happen to have like accidentally blind picked movies that he himself covered, or that we got the Big E himself, one of those things.
What's up, Emma?
What did you say the IMDb score was?
7.9. Did it change?
That's weird because on me looking at IMDb, it says 5.6.
Hey, yo, what the fuck?
Noah might have left up for last time.
Half a sec.
Did you leave up Shaun of the Dead? That'd be embarrassing.
And mine is also saying a 5.6
so embarrassing
on IMDb.
LOL, I think that's what happened. Half a sec.
LOL, my BFF Jill.
Oh my god, that's a throwback. Okay, so...
Half a sec. These are the same ratings as last week. My mistake.
Wow, massive Noah L.
Massive and common
Canceled.
Noah L. Okay, let me do it again. IMDb 5.6, Rotten Tomatoes 90%, still good. Metacritic 63, Letterboxd 3 out of 5.
That's closer to what I remember hearing when the movie came out, so that makes more sense.
Okay.
I was like, everyone really liked this? I thought it was a little more middling than that.
That's exactly what I was thinking reading through these again.
I was expecting it to be more mixed than that first set of numbers.
Okay, so this is the real numbers that I just said. The fake numbers, they might not even be in here. It might just be a censored block of data for all I know. Brian Tallerico.
Brian Tallerico.
We got a 2.5 out of 4 from Brian. Excerpt reads, I don't like to invoke the name of Lost Masters often, but I keep thinking the same thing while watching Blood Quantum, dropping on Shudder today as a little pandemic treat for horror fans. So this was a pre-release review. George Romero would have dug this. Clearly inspired by The King of the Undead, Jeff Barnaby's film doesn't just mimic Romero's obsession with zombies, but how he weaved social commentary through his Dead franchise while never being afraid of a grisly count of human bodies being ripped into pieces. Yeah. A zombie film that also comments on our abuse of the planet and treatment of indigenous people is a brilliant idea, and it's easy to see why Toronto International Film Festival chose this to open their Midnight Madness program last year. Sadly, some of the elements of Blood Quantum feel distractedly unrefined, including poor performances and awkward dialogue. Despite its flaws, it's a promising film with some great ideas, and that alone should satisfy Shudder subscribers.
Yeah,
I was kind of expecting it not to be super highly reviewed, like, widely necessarily, because there are a handful of moments where the acting isn't fantastic, and there's a couple of moments where the effects don't look so perfect. But like the big thing that I was noticing is that the humor is just so, every time it's so deadpan that it's like hopeless, and I wouldn't be surprised if it just kind of zipped right past an awful lot of people.
It is a really funny movie.
The characters don't laugh at how funny it is, though, so that is definitely why
they're saying things that are hilarious, but they never laugh.
How am I supposed to know when to laugh when there's no laugh track?
Lysol tells his whole story, and everyone looks at him like he's like just completely failed to read the room, which he has, and that's maybe one of my favorite scenes in the whole movie.
Mm-hmm. Or like he's always saying these things that are like, he's got this one line that's you broke my dipstick, you owe me a blowjob. That's one of the funniest things I've ever heard a person say in a movie. It goes not only entirely unremarked on, but the scene moves past it so fast. It barely even registers. Like
I love Lysol.
He's such a fun piece of shit.
He is. Okay.
Ebert over. I got us a Twitter Brandon this week. It's actually a super fleshed out Brandon. Because I got a tweet and I have a full Letterboxd review.
Oh my god! All right, let's bite into the flesh of this Brandon.
So I'm not gonna do the whole Letterboxd review because it's just it's a longer one. It will be linked in the show notes though, and because I'm gonna reference it. But the tweet from Brandon says, "Blood Quantum is excellent, wildly gory, terrifyingly present, and like all great zombie movies, a great metaphor for something deeper. In this case, the zombies are quite literally the white man devouring indigenous lands. Really, really dug this. 4 out of 5.
Mm-hmm. Hell yeah.
Yeah, this is from the era where Brandon still rated his movies, so lucky us."
Let's go. Thank you, Brandon.
Thank you, Brandon. No,
Thank
I
you,
can't say it.
No, yep.
Thank
No,
you,
sorry.
Brandon.
Oh my
No,
god.
you can't do that.
It's just so
Don't
easy
do
to
it.
mirror.
But yeah, he mentions.
I know a lot of us are neurodivergent, but don't mirror me. It's not your
If
birthday.
it's your birthday, you're allowed to. But it has to be your birthday on date of recording, and if
Yeah.
if it wasn't, and we're not going to tell you what day that was, you can't do it.
Okay.
But yeah, Brandon has a couple of other things to say. He's like, it doesn't all work. Some of the character motivations are a little ill-defined, and it leaves some of the emotional payoffs a little lacking. But he really did like the historical and socio-political bent the movie takes.
Very much.
Violently angry film and has every right to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It has the same beats as almost every zombie film you've ever seen, but from an entirely new angle. I don't know. There's just...
It does the outbreak shit so fucking well. Oh my god.
The outbreak is... Like, Nina's favorite part of every zombie media ever is the outbreak. And this one has, like, an extended outbreak sequence in the beginning. It's like...
Yes.
The first third of the movie is outbreak. And then, unlike a lot of things where
favorite part
then
of the
it
movie.
falls apart kind of a bit after the outbreak, I don't think this one falls apart in the same way.
It falls apart in a completely new way, which I
Yeah.
liked.
Mm-hmm.
I was talking last week on the podcast about how I wished that we got because we have these compounds in zombie movies, and I wish that we got more outbreak in the compound movies. That's what this is, and I
That's
was
exactly what this is.
I was very happy to have it. I have other things to say about this movie. Are we doing our ratings?
Well, yeah, we can do our ratings now because
Okay.
I think this is a natural flow point.
This is the time.
So I really like this movie. To me, I have some experience with The Walking Dead as a franchise. And to me, this felt like an extended, like, Walking Dead episode that kind of happened, like, in a different part of the world, unconnected to the characters The Walking Dead usually follows.
Okay.
But it felt like the same kind of tone. It felt like the same kind of way that we're telling the zombie story, same kind of way that we're building the compounds and treating the compounds and all of this. I really enjoyed it. It made me, it's the same way that I really love The Walking Dead, like, games. I really love this movie. I like getting to meet a bunch of different characters and hear their motivations and relationships, and then see how being put in this scenario affects those relationships. And I love the added what's the word I'm looking for? Social commentary. I love that as well. I think that that's something that you will get in a zombie story no matter what you do. Zombies are going to be a metaphor for something. So I like it when, basically what the Ebert guy said, I think. I like it when the movie, like...
Brian, he has a name.
I'm sorry, Mr. Tallerico. I like it when a movie has their... basically is like, this is what it's about, we're gonna do it, but also isn't afraid as a zombie movie to just kill as many people as possible, because I think that's one thing that a lot of zombie movies have kind of chickened out on, is like, it's World War Z, I'm looking at you, just kill more people, kill so many people, please, and for fun. And this one was that. Say a 7 out of 10. 7 out of 10.
Okay, yeah.
I like how this is a movie that's not afraid to kill its main characters.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of an important element of making a zombie movie work. Which of the Dead did we watch last year in the fucking missile silo?
Day of the Dead.
Yeah. There's a great thing about Day of the Dead. None of those people survived, basically. You know, like
Basically,
that was
we
great.
get 3 survivors.
It's nice going into a zombie movie with a full cast and knowing the full cast isn't going to make it out. If they do, it feels a little contrived. And this one really, every single time one of the main cast goes away, you feel it like punching you in the gut. It's very sad. And I really liked it a lot. I don't know. I love the setup. I love there's a lot of emotions in this movie. It's a deeply angry movie. And that's one of the things that I think Brian Tallerico really got right is that Romero would have loved this shit because this is a movie that's almost as angry as the average Romero flick. Because that dude hated the U.S. government with a fucking passion. And you can tell that there's a lot of... And capitalism. You can tell there's a similar level of emotions here in Blood Quantum.
Very much.
I'm going to give it 8 out of 10. Personally, would like to say, I don't think there's as much bad acting as some people imply there to have been.
No, yeah, absolutely not. I did not find there to be that much. Yeah, there's like maybe a couple ones.
There's not even like an actor who is consistently bad. They all have good moments, and it's just a handful of them have some bad moments.
Yeah. Like I was talking to Nina about this. There is one person over the course of the movie who I would point out and say not my favorite person in this movie on an acting front, and it's whoever played Charlie.
Oh, I would not have picked her actually.
Yeah, see, and I think that's the thing, right? Like everyone has different opinions on it. I don't know. I liked it though. It's been fun getting to hit a foreign film that's just foreign because it's in Canada.
Foreign because it takes place maybe
I love foreign cinema.
Canadian. Well, I got great news for you. Our next movie is also Canadian.
Oh, I know that.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah, this is a fully like outside the U.S. March of the Zombies.
Wasn't it last year too?
No.
Oh no, I guess we had one.
No. Romero's American.
He's super American.
He's the most American of all. He's from Pittsburgh.
Let's go, baby, Pittsburgh, baby. Fuck
I'm
yeah,
so
Pittsburgh.
glad that we watched that one last year because I think watching this one without having seen a Romero would have been a disservice to this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
No, yeah, that's
okay.
Yeah.
Who has not given their rating yet?
Those two.
Neither I nor Emma.
I will go. I feel like Jeff is gonna cook.
I
feel like Jeff's got a lot of things to say. Yeah. I think going into this movie, you need to recognize and like respect its quality level and its budget.
Mm-hmm.
Jeff kind of hinted at some like not amazing effects, which there are times where they use like CGI or something, and you definitely notice.
The practical stuff all looks great though.
The practical stuff is really, really well done. But also, like, this isn't, like, a high-budget, like, movie or anything. Right. This is, like, an indie movie-ish, and you need to, like, come into this understanding that. And on, like, that scale, I think I would give this, like, a 7.5 out of 10.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it. I especially enjoy and love the, like, first third, where they're exploring kind of the initial outbreak. Like that's where this movie really thrives for me personally and where I'm most invested. It loses me a little bit in the rest.
Fair.
Just because I'm not huge on like the traditional like zombie outbreak like storytelling stuff and like I think we remember I think I liked Day of the Dead like more than I like other old movies, but even then I wasn't like super into it. It's just not like a kind of story I particularly love, but I think this does do really well, and it's got some cool messaging, but it also has some flaws, and I'm excited to talk about those.
Yeah.
But yeah, Jeff, what do you have to say?
So I am always a big fan of a director who makes the soundtrack to the movie as well. I fucking love that. That's one of my favorite things about any John Carpenter movie. It's just something that I really like to see. I feel like it lends the movie a little bit of a more unified audiovisual kind of identity, almost like the way that Simon Pegg was talking about a director and actor writing partnership. I think having somebody, having the person at the top of the project be someone who is doing multiple jobs within it gives the whole thing this kind of like, more cohesive idea that you don't get otherwise. And the like real like just sort of soft synthy kind of soundtrack that this has, very much doing the like, synth wavy kind of thing, especially pairing that with the couple of little brief sequences with the like comic book styled art and the like pixel art at one point. Like,
oh my god,
it's
yeah,
fucking cool. If there's any change that I would make to this movie first, it would be adding more of that stuff and having the soundtrack be like I always say this, having the soundtrack be just a little bit stronger not all the way to the point of like your average Goblin soundtrack.
I was
or
about to
something
say
necessarily,
Jeff when the
right? But
soundtrack isn't Goblin.
just for it to pop a little bit harder, you know? But I know I always say that. There's nothing wrong with it as it sits. What's that, Nina?
I think that there are a couple things about this movie that were really cool and experimental that they only did once or twice that I wish they'd picked a gimmick and gone with it. Because
just to lean on it.
The animation bits were amazing, and then I also really enjoyed the 2 cutaway storytelling gags. But like by the time that the second cutaway gag had happened, I'd forgotten that it was a thing we were doing. And so after the movie was over, I also was like, oh, there was the shitting gag, and that was good, but that felt out of place because they didn't do it again. And then I thought for a second, I'm like, no, they did it again with Lysol once. Like, you need to rule of thirds this shit. And they did with the animation.
Exactly.
We got 3 animated scenes, but I feel like the folklore scene at the beginning did not fit as well as the other 2 as far as like being a part of the story itself. It was like it didn't really get integrated as well as the others. The others showed us like moments within the story. But I would have loved more of either of those things, but not necessarily both. I think they should have picked been more consistent tonally by picking one of those cool artistic gimmicks.
Yeah, just a lot of very cool shit in here, though. I am very selfishly sad about the fact that Jeff Barnaby died, because it means that we won't be able to see how his style would have developed further with this, what he could have done with a bigger budget, like any of that kind of thing. Also, just the fact that a man's dead, that's sad in the non-selfish ways. But like, because we're here talking about a movie, I'm thinking about the movie, and I'm just like, I wish we could have gotten more of this. It's good. You know? There's just a lot of cool creative shit going into this.
Yeah.
But there's also content to be warned about.
True.
There is content to be warned about.
What content warnings do we have?
Well, we already talked about the dog, but I would like to emphasize animal death in this one.
It's big.
There's a fish gutting scene at the beginning of the movie that looks like he's just gutting real fish.
I think he might be.
Because
I would not be surprised to learn that he was just gutting a fish.
Yeah, because I mean, it looked real. But there's also animal undeath. I just tagged that on because I thought animal death and animal undeath were
And there's
funny.
animal re-death, as we have.
And re-death. Animal death, undeath, and re-death. We're getting hit with the triple animal here. But yeah, there's suicide and self-harm. There's a lot of gore in this, as come with zombie stuff. There is a baby death in this. And zombies eating people. Those are next to each other for a reason. Throwing it out there. Also, everyone should be pretty happy. We have a triumphant return of Dong in the movie. Let's go.
There is technically Dong in this movie.
Technically Dong.
And it's
presented in an all new way.
Yes. It's not our typical podcast favorite dickstruction method, but it checks out.
I tell you. When the scene hit, that was like a full like 2 or 3 beats of the penis on screen, and Nina's like, "Is that his penis?" And then
Nina's when there's a penis on screen.
That makes me sound so much more clueless, but the truth is my eyes just had a hard time figuring out what the shape was.
Oh, I assumed it was just you in shock that was actually what was going on, not in a I can't believe they.
Oh no, I legitimately just
happened.
I just was having a hard time figuring out if that was what the shape was because it was silhouetted.
I'm making Nina sound funny. Nina's like, no, I'm just silly.
I just couldn't see.
I just can't see the television.
Can't see shit.
Actually, this is probably a good time to put a little asterisk. Nina and I watched on Shudder because that's where it is. And unfortunately for us, crusty as hell. The movie was not buffering well, which is an issue that Shudder sometimes has.
Yeah, it does that.
So you were like, wow, they're pixelating out the penis. That's really weird.
No, it's
it was...
the blacks and the reds when together, like dark scenes with a lot of red. It just did not work well for us on a color front. There's not a lot of like contrast visibility in there. Like the opening scene where it's like tiny red lettering on a pitch black background.
Yeah.
Couldn't read it.
Could not read it. It was so pixelated. But yeah, this movie did get a physical release for anyone curious.
Yeah, unlike Netflix, Shudder actually gives a shit and does release their movies.
Thanks for that, Shudder.
That's
Bare
cool.
minimum.
Mm-hmm.
See, I watched this movie on Netflix, so that's
Really?
funny.
Oh, Canada.
Yeah. I'm in Canada.
Oh, right, right.
Yeah, that means you could have watched it on Crave, the Canadian streaming service that I used to have to pirate Letterkenny from
Crave.
before they put it on Hulu. Yeah, I've been a Letterkenny fan since before it was on Hulu.
Wow.
Put that one in your pipe and smoke it.
We got a
We
hipster
do.
over here.
A hipster for Canadian sitcoms, which is maybe not the coolest kind of hipster.
Nina's over here like, I knew it was called a toque already.
My mom's a dual citizen.
Nina loved Letterkenny so much that she made her mom be a dual citizen. Can you believe it? Massive L.
Anyway,
Speaking of
Blood
scary
Quantum.
things like Canada and streaming services, Emma,
Right.
how scary is Canada?
Canada itself, not very
Damn.
scary.
Oh.
This movie made
Blood
it out
Quantum.
as like a really scary place.
David Cronenberg makes it
Yeah.
seem like a pretty scary place.
If you're an indigenous person, Canada is very different, obviously. Canada is not nice to indigenous people.
Yeah.
Unlike
even
the
today,
American
they're-
government, which is so much better.
I obviously can't speak to the experience of Canadian or American indigenous people.
Naturally.
But from what I've personally experienced or seen some of the way the Canadian government treats the indigenous people here, because I was volunteering with this queer organization last year during Pride. And I met some indigenous people and heard some of their stories and saw certain things that the Canadians were doing in real time to this person.
Oh,
And I was like, wow, that's extremely shitty.
what the fuck?
So, yeah, it's wild. But, movie Blood Quantum, how scary is it? I'd probably give this, like, it's not, like, jump scare scary or anything. But I'd maybe give it, like, a 2 or 3 just based on, like, the physical effects and the blood and all of that. It's just a very grimy movie, I feel like, with all of the blood. And so that kind of sticks with you a little bit. But it's not bad.
Hell yeah.
hell yeah.
Yeah.
But Noah, how about you lead us into our spoil summary, picking up with the time skip?
All right. Now, you may have noticed I was winging it the first time. I'm not doing that this time. This time, thank you, Wikipedia, for your, as always, very mid but at least concise summary of movies.
Yo, wait. You should have said Wingipedia. Do you want to say that and I'll dub it in?
No.
Okay.
Noah's like, is this a bit? I don't
even
get
worse
this.
Seems
than
seems like a perfectly good extension of you saying winging it like that. So like, I don't know.
No.
That's the pronunciation we're going to remark
okay.
on, and not me saying Blood Quantum like Foo Fighters. Like
Blood Quantum.
Blood Quantum.
What quantum?
I'm the Emperor of Dune.
Blood Quantum.
Arrakis.
I find a katana indispensable.
Anyway, fuck. All right, here's the wiki summary. 6 months later, the outbreak of flesh-eating Zeds has become widespread, and the Red Crow Reservation has been turned into a fortified compound. Its residents have learned the indigenous people cannot be infected by the plague, though white people can. Lysol has become increasingly aggressive toward Joseph and others' tendency to bring in outsiders, such as a man and his young daughter, the latter of whom has been bitten by an infected person, as well as a girl named Lilith who hides the fact that she has also been infected into the compound. That night, at Lysol's shelter away from the compound, Joseph finds a now zombified Lilith chewing on Lysol's penis as he's crying on the floor from the pain. They really just... Oh boy, they jumped right into it. That's great. Joseph, Lysol, and Moon then drive back to the compound with Lilith in restraints. Believing the policy of letting white survivors led to his disfigurement, Lysol snaps, stabbing Joseph and letting Lilith loose inside the compound. Trailer and his dad, who went on a mission to eliminate zombies at a gas station with fellow tribesmen Bumper and Shooker, return to the compound to find it overrun with zombies. They learn that Joss, Joseph, Charlie, and 8 other survivors are trapped in the basement of the compound. In the process of rescuing them, Shooker is able to drive away some of the survivors, but Trailer is eaten alive by zombies to allow his family to escape, as they weren't able to get to the car in time. Joss, Joseph, and Charlie escape with Grandpa and Bumper, while Grandpa and Joseph enter a church to stop 2 associates of Lysol from murdering a group of survivors. Lysol finds Joss, Charlie, and Bumper. Lysol stabs Bumper, heavily wounding him, and Joss shoots Lysol, but not before he's able to unleash a zombie from the trunk of a car. The zombie bites Charlie, and Joseph arrives, killing the zombie. Joseph and his grandpa lead a wounded Lysol away from the scene, and Joseph stabs Lysol. They fire shots into the air, alerting zombies to the location of where Lysol is, and then leave, allowing the zombies to eat him alive. They think all hope is lost as the one remaining boat able to allow their escape is burning. Shooker with someone else. This is an atrocious summary. This summary sucks.
It's not a great
ass. Shooker with someone else comes back for them with 2 boats and takes Bumper with him, while Joseph, Charlie, and Joss set out into a large body of water with the other boat. Grandpa stays behind, armed with his trusty katana, and stays to fight off the land zombies. It says, and seems to survive, standing with the last zombie's head in his hands. I don't know if they just didn't watch the next scene. The man does die.
There.
He's definitely dies.
Yeah, but he gets the like little pixel art comic booky scene showing him like kicking ass. And
yeah, which I read to be his big send off because he's a hero. You know, because when Trailer goes down, he's like, tell my granddaughter big stories about me.
Yeah.
I assume that's what fighting, this was.
And it's a heroic death is what's getting indicated there. Is what I got.
Anyway, Charlie has been pregnant this whole time. I forgot to mention that in the early part. So, surprise,
right.
Charlie's pregnant and gives birth on the boat. Charlie is Joseph's white girlfriend. She has been bitten. She thinks that she is turning, and doesn't even want to hold her daughter, because she doesn't want to do anything. So she gets to hold her for a second, hands her back, and then he has to shoot her in the head, and the movie ends.
Yeah.
It is a bleak as shit ending.
It is a scene, tell you what.
Really good movie. Strong ending. As Emma mentioned in the scary rating, and to add a little asterisk for myself and I believe others, as not members of native tribes, we definitely don't fully get what some of the elements of this story are going for. Not that we don't understand, but it definitely is. There
are specifics that will.
There are specifics that will have missed, that are like, I mean, like the name even Blood Quantum is the way that they used to. That's the name of the quantification process of, do you qualify for government like money based on your like heritage or not? Are you native enough to be native? Shit like that. So
yeah. But
yeah, let's talk about the movie.
Yeah.
I fucking love.
I'm gonna start us off strong.
Do it.
With a question.
Okay.
And if you all have an answer that I like genuinely missed, then this changes my view of this thing in the movie. But why was there a reason the old man had a katana specifically?
Nope. He's just cool.
No, I don't think that is ever explained at all. He just has it.
I think that the weapons in this movie does one thing that I wish a lot of more zombie movies would do, which is characters just are badass for fun. You have Lysol's whole getup is just because Lysol himself as a person would do that and is an edgelord. Yeah. And I love that.
Yeah, he's got the mask. He's got his like homemade polearm thing. It looks like it might have been like a lacrosse stick or something.
His big leather jacket.
Put a blade on it.
Yeah.
He's got the jacket and everything. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know whether to count this as a criticism against the movie or not, but when I saw Old Man with a Katana, one, I love a badass old man.
Sure.
That's not my
And
problem.
who doesn't
here.
love a zombie
But
apocalypse samurai?
well, here's the thing. Here's my criticism:
Right.
is that's such a trope, and it's kind of taking. It's a bit of, I don't know if I'd call it cultural
Sure.
appropriation from the Japanese, but it's like uncomfy that, and like so many, it's like a thing in zombie media that there's like a white character or like some character that's gonna have a katana,
Yeah.
um, and it's uncomfy. And I can either view it as they gave this old man a katana because it looks cool and badass and it's fun. And in that case, it kind of falls into that trap of like furthering that like weird zombie movie trope. Or it could be seen as taking this indigenous person taking a artifact that's appropriated by white culture a lot and using it like to combat kind of like white imperialism and stuff. I'm not entirely sure how to view it, and I don't know exactly how I feel about
Oh,
it.
sure.
But I wanted to bring it up.
My particular issue with the katana is more to do with the fact that, like, sure, there's going to be. You may encounter a katana somewhere, you might have access to one, but what's the likelihood that it's one that's of sufficient quality to actually use it on the reg? And also, my bigger thing is all the other weapons are either practical things like guns, chainsaws, things that you might have regardless, or at one point, Trailer uses this axe that is very obviously homemade. The blade on it looks like it's made from like having broken like a blade from a concrete saw in half and then sharpening it
Mm-hmm.
like a regular like axe head.
Yeah,
And that's fucking
it's a cool
awesome.
axe.
I wish there was a little bit more of like that kind of thing. Or if like
Yeah,
just instead of a katana, give him like a machete or something, because and also there's not an absence of machetes in this movie. It just feels like he could have any other bladed weapon that makes more sense for him to have than a
yeah.
katana.
My only thought of like, and Nina, you had your hand raised, and so I want to respect that and jump back to you in a second. But my only potential thought is towards the end of the movie, he talked about never wanting to leave that land again.
Yeah.
And he's old enough, and this takes place in the 80s, that I'm like, reasonably, he could have fought in World War II, potentially.
Oh,
Um,
I hadn't even thought of that.
and if he did, it's possible he could have taken a katana as a trophy of some sort,
How involved was
because that
Canada?
is something that happened.
Oh, sure, absolutely. How
Um,
involved was the Canadian Army in the Japanese theater of that war, though? I've heard a
um,
lot of stories of them
Okay.
in Europe. I haven't heard any stories of them in the Pacific.
So I'm gonna be so real. I think that that's
mhm.
the line about never wanting to leave this land again might more reasonably refer to, and I don't know the history of indigenous land in Canada during the
Right.
80s. There might have been a significant event to do with the Canadian government that we are not aware of that he is specifically referring to. That is what I would assume first.
It's trivia
Okay.
time.
Oh, here we go.
So this is not directly related, but the reason that this movie is set in 1981, actually, I read on the movie's Wikipedia page. The film is set in 1981 because that was the year in which a force of game wardens, fisheries officers, and Quebec provincial police officers raided Listuguj. I don't think that I'm pronouncing that correctly, so sorry. Arresting and beating many of its members and confiscating their fishing equipment. The members who were not incarcerated made barricades, and in retaliation, the aforementioned authorities conducted a second raid.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah.
I would say that combined with the again, don't know all that much historically about the history of reservations in Canada, but I assume that they are pretty damn similar to the situation of reservations in the United States, where over the years the government just kind of continuously decided you can have less land than we told you could have actually, and then they came back a few years later and said you can have less land than that actually, until they get all the way down to the point where they're at now. I kind of assumed that particular line was in reference to getting pushed into smaller and smaller corners of what should
That's
always
pretty
have
much
been
what I
entirely
assumed as
their
well.
land. Yeah.
To get back to the katana, though, from a writing
Right, the
standpoint,
katana.
my immediate assumption is probably that we get to see these tropes done with white characters all the time. This is something I noticed with basically all of the characters, is all of these characters are tropes we have seen in other zombie media, specific, like done over and over again, especially like The Walking Dead. Like you can one to one most of these characters with Walking Dead characters. And it's like, okay, so we get these tropes all the time with white characters and they get away with it. So why shouldn't we also do these exact tropes over, but better and with our meaning attached to them? And I think that that's the katana is probably an extension of that. So close to Emma's second reading, I would assume, because it then does play into the colonialism aspect as well. But like looking at like, you know, Rick Grimes and Carl and Daryl and fucking whatever evil dudes there are, and then looking at like Trailer and Lysol and Joseph and Charlie, those are all like things that we see a lot in zombie media. So I was kind of, that would be my thought, like from a standpoint when I tried to write things that are taking a well-trodden trope and doing them a little differently. Usually the thought process for me is like, well, everyone else has done this and I am specifically writing a commentary on this story format and on these tropes.
Right.
So I am going to do it exactly the same because that befits the kind of themes that I'm using in the story that I'm telling better than it would be to try and simultaneously critique the genre tropes while doing the genre. So to just kind of use them, I think makes more sense. So I think that that's probably my thought as to that.
That makes sense. I feel like that's a good read on it. To move away from that topic and to a not as deep topic, I love a good zombie movie that shows and even slightly explores animals getting zombied as well.
Oh yeah, the fish scene was literally like the first scene,
so good.
and I'm like, we're doing zombie fish here. I've never seen zombie fish before. That's so good.
And the way that scene is executed is fucking perfect. I love it. I love it so much. It's such a strong opening scene.
And just kind of like choosing fish for one is great because like in Train to Busan, you have a deer at the beginning, and then you see like no other zombie animals the rest of the movie, or it's never referenced again. But like having just fish and starting it off that way of this is how they find out something weird is going on. I don't know. It sticks with you and it's so cool.
It's unique. It's shown in a really visually striking way. And also it's like, it's layered, right? Because it's like, that's a primary food source.
Yes. So that's the thought process that I had was the primary food source and also the dog is like two things that I'm getting most of my knowledge here from indigenous people on TikTok that I follow.
Cool.
So, but like that is something that is like referenced pretty often is like there being, you know, fish is a primary food source and there are a lot of dogs on reservations. And so those are two things that are like, there's a lot of. So that being the two animals we see that it affects is definitely like intentional. And I loved seeing that. And I love that it wasn't forgotten about like it was in Train to Busan when we get 6 months in and they are asking Lilith whether or not she's eaten any like fish or dogs, and then she assumes and I like this because she's white, she assumes, oh, you're asking me if I've eaten people because you want to know whether or not I'm a fucked up person. Joss is asking because eating fish or dog would also infect you, and she knows this, but Lilith does not even kind of like track that that's where she's going with it. She thinks that you're just trying to accuse her of being a cannibal. And I really liked that scene because it 100% was something that I was thinking about during the movie. And this movie does drop a lot of plot threads, which is kind of frustrating. I think there are a lot of characters that, like, if this was a TV series, I would get to know more about them and their motivations.
Yeah.
Specifically, the people who sided with Lysol. I would have liked to know more about them. I think James and Moon are their names. I would have loved to know more about why they picked Lysol, and Lysol's side, and why they went that direction, and their relationships. And that's this might be The Walking Dead infecting me. One thing I love about zombie compounds is getting to know who everyone was before this and what role they've fallen into in this compound. And while this movie kind of, again, it assumes you've seen The Walking Dead and a bunch of other shit, so that you know how to follow the tropes, so you can kind of fill in those gaps yourself. But I would have liked more. I guess I just would have liked more of this story. I would have liked a whole season of this. Yeah.
If this had been like the pilot for the pitched show Blood Quantum, I would love to see what the show would have looked like.
Yeah. I want to say something about this. I like how unapologetic this movie is about who dies. I like that Charlie isn't safe just because she's pregnant. I pretty much knew she was going to die right away. But Charlie's not safe. The infected kid isn't safe. The dog isn't safe. It's like they always lead up to that death with like, this person has to die. You and I both know this. It's only a matter of time. And then they do it. And it's always someone who doesn't really want to be doing it. Yeah. Also, why did Lilith take so long to get infected? Everyone else went pretty darn fast.
It seems like much like in a lot of other zombie media, right? The speed that the change happens at is real inconsistent.
It's immediately correlated with how dramatic it will be for that person to turn.
Yeah.
Well, I think in this case, it's one of those situations where the disease has to kill you before it can turn you.
Okay.
Like you die first.
Like in Midnight Mass. Yeah.
So, Lilith was healthy enough that it clearly turned her while she was still alive, right? But that will go by the rule of cool. But like everyone else who turned quickly, they all died. Like compound.
I'm sorry. She bit the man's dick off, and you're saying rule of cool?
Yeah.
Yeah, that is cool. Are you kidding me? It's iconic.
She held the dick, it went flop, 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 and then bit it like a beef jerky stick.
She did do that. That is exactly what happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh God, I gotta stop saying things. I almost said another almost as bad as the twice baked potato thing.
Anyway.
Do you want me to say it? I'll say it.
Yeah.
I almost said.
I mean, are you gonna get canceled again?
I almost said new bottom surgery just dropped.
Oh, okay.
Canceled.
Okay.
Anyway. Because
bottom surgery isn't just removing the penis, it's actually inverting
I did know
it.
that. I have actually done research on this to be able to speak knowledgeably about it.
You don't do that by biting, you do it with a plunger. Everyone knows.
Oh no. Cancel.
Anyway.
We're in our Kill James Bond era.
Anyway. Like I was trying to say,
what were you trying
Charlie
to say?
died because she was dead exhausted after childbirth. She had no energy and she died.
Right.
And then she was brought back. All the people in the compound were killed and then came back.
Right.
The only person who actually seems to be operating outside of a nice strict rule set was Lilith.
Yeah.
But I think once again, because it's way cooler for her to bite Lysol's dick off.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Couple rapid fire things I really liked. One, her name's Lilith, and she's the one who brings sin into the compound. Whoa, love that. 10 out of 10. It's the only biblical imagery that goes like that hard throughout this movie, but it goes hard. Oh gosh, I like how they don't outright state like early on, oh, the indigenous people don't turn. They don't like
it's not till after the time jump.
Yeah, we see them all get bit, and then we do the time jump, and we see they're all still alive, and it's like, okay, that's all you really need to know. And then from that on, they basically, and as we all know, and it works really well. I really appreciated that way of storytelling where they're like, hey, you saw the title of the movie, you saw the synopsis, you know why we're all here.
You can put it together.
And then secondly, like, yeah, there is no natural, unless we were going to go through the entire 6 months and see the aftermath. We spent enough time on the outbreak. This might be the correct outbreak to post-outbreak ratio of a zombie movie for me.
That's what I was thinking as well, yeah. the time skip is kind of what makes it work in a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
Again, it's very like TV show positive. Where it's like maybe the pilot would like it's very The Last of Us TV series where it's like we get one outbreak episode and then it's like boom bap pow, we're in it. But with this one it was like more outbreak, which I love. 10 out of 10. Also the I like the choice to just skip 6 months. Things are still fairly fresh. Because The Last of Us skips like a full 20 years. I don't feel like That's lived.
Too much.
It's too much. It is too much for me as a TV series. As a game, it probably works better because you're exploring the world and learning things more organically. But as a TV series, it's like everyone lives in this world and is familiar with the power structures and the new government and all of these factions and shit, and they just kind of talk about them, and I'm like, I feel like I'm getting into a sci-fi world instead of just as a normal zombie apocalypse. Which is fine. I liked it, but I like it more in this one to just have a 6-month skip where we've skipped all of the tedious part of building up a compound.
Exactly.
And we are just like, again, it's playing off familiar tropes in a really like natural way where it's like, and as we all know, this is how things happen in a zombie apocalypse. You get a compound and you get people who want to come into the compound.
Yeah. It's like it jumps over just enough that there can be sort of a regular everyday. You know?
Yeah.
Like the idea of that kind of a casual just going about your day has sort of just freshly been established and everyone's in it.
Really works because that is also naturally when shit's gonna hit the fan again. Is right when you start to calm down a little.
You start to get a little bit comfortable.
Yeah.
And this is what Lysol's talking about early on in his like villain arc before his dick gets bit off, and that's the last reason he had to try and be decent, I guess.
You know, listen, here's the thing about Lysol. I'm gonna have to rewatch it. Lysol is my favorite character.
I mean, obviously.
And my thing with him is that I, like many characters, I think they're just kind of underwritten in the motivation department apart from Charlie and Joseph. Charlie and Joseph have enough conversations together. And then maybe Joss and Trailer at the same time. Lysol,
they definitely got something.
We get a good amount of stuff, but I wish there was more from everyone, but specifically from Lysol because going from kind of having some salient points to my dick got bit off, fuck everything is a very good character arc, and I can absolutely follow it. I am not saying that doesn't make sense. I just wish there was a little more.
Yeah, we do get like hints toward his like backstory with like whatever it was that happened to his mom and everything that like people referenced, but we never really find out what actually did go down. So the impression I got was that like he was already only tenuously a member of the community after all the shit went down because he was such an outcast previously.
But I don't think we get
still that's not a lot.
No, I don't think we get to see enough of him interacting with the respected members of the community, which makes sense because he's an outcast, but there are scenarios like where he could have like expressed frustration and not being taken to the like gas station or like expressed disagreement with how they were going about that or something, and everyone being like, we're not gonna fucking listen to you. Just less having a bunch of scenes with characters and places talking about the place that they're at and more talking about each other and what the other person is doing at that point, I guess. Because it's a lot of characters sitting and talking about where they are right now and who is around them at that moment, and not really talking about what the other people are doing. So it feels very separated. It feels like each character's storyline is happening really, really separate from each other. That's something that I wish would have been a little more cohesive on that.
You know, I do want to give Lysol huge props, though. Running around and doing as much as he did when he just had his dick bit off.
I was
like, that's a pretty serious injury. That's really
that's
impressive.
That's a lot of blood to lose. It is
at a time when there's a lot of blood in there.
I've seen dudes laid up for less, for longer.
Yeah.
Like a cold, a runny nose.
Man really said,
he was fueled.
I got no dick left, but fuck it, we ball.
He did. He said he was fueled by the fury of losing his dick. It just like went straight into just pissed off. I don't think there was any other way to do that, but I don't begrudge them being scientifically inaccurate about that because the scene is good, and I also enjoy everything he does afterwards, which is being a fucking menace.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I would like to talk about the real villain of this movie.
Colonialism?
The Canadian government.
Yes.
White people as a mass.
Specifically, yes, but specifically Charlie.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, Charlie, Noah, you mentioned the quote with the red text at the beginning of the movie and the black background is really hard to read, which it is.
Tis.
But I'm going to read it for you because it's important.
It's from the Bible, isn't it?
No.
Is it not?
It's a pilgrim proverb is how it's credited. Take heed to thyself that thou make no treaty with the inhabitants of the land, whether thou goest, lest it be cause of ruin among you. Break down their altars, smash their sacred stones, and burn down their groves. So this movie takes this pilgrim's proverb and kind of turns it against white people. And Nina, you said that Lilith kind of brought like sin into the compound, but when Lilith and the other white people first arrive to the compound, we see them kind of turn to Charlie and say, like, how are these people finding us? You're, like, inviting them here. And she's like, well, we're supposed to help people. So she doesn't really deny that she's inviting white people to come to the compound for safety. And then has this, like morally it makes sense, like you should help people like in the zombie apocalypse, whatever, but as a specific criticism against kind of colonialism and like topics of like how colonialism has impacted indigenous communities, having this character inviting all of these people to indigenous land, and then those people that are invited in causing this havoc to break out. Charlie is the real enemy.
No,
that's the real villain of the movie.
It was one of those things where as we were watching, I'm sitting here and I'm like, I know I'm not supposed to think that Lysol is kind of in the right here because he's going about it the wrong way. But like, and I'm not going to say even like the systemic issues aside, in a zombie apocalypse, you also need to know when to say no. They had a lot of people there.
Yeah.
They had hit their limit. And it is not an unreasonable thing to say, hey, if people find us, that's one thing, but we can't keep bringing people here. You know, they were already supporting over 100 people. That's nothing. And they only had like 10 people who were immune. Like, there's not a lot that they can do.
Yeah, there's not a lot of them there, no.
Watching through that whole beginning bit, I'm like, Charlie is being super fucking naive right now. And also, 100%, it's like the colonialism angle of I know better than you. We need to be letting these people in.
It's also interesting on that note that how Joseph is portrayed of being also naive, and it's not his fault. It's never like his fault the way that Charlie acts. He loves her, and that's fine. You want to like people and you want to assume the best of people. The people around him are like, we don't want to tell you not to be with Charlie. But when it comes to like having a kid, you are still young and naive and you want like this and her more than you maybe want to take care of yourself. And this is something that like as a through line follows through the rest of the movie is the older people in this community have experienced what it's like to try and give the benefit of the doubt and try and do these things. And they have been, they have learned the hard way that is something that sometimes you do need to protect yourself and your self-interest, but they simultaneously don't want to, maybe things are better now and they don't want to squash Joseph's hope for that, but they also don't want him to get hurt. So they're all trying to like give him this advice. And be like, without giving him like that good old generational trauma, be like, hey, are you actually ready for this? You have other things you could do with your life. Is this something you're ready for? Look at where you are now. Look at the trouble you're getting in. And tell me if that tells you that you're ready to be a fucking father. And then that kind of sets up Joseph's character really well for the rest of the movie, where we see him wanting to back up Charlie, but also having to like be more conscious of things than Charlie has to be because of who he is and the things that he knows to be true from growing up indigenous. So, you know, it's really interesting. Every character has their own experiences and it really does center in on Charlie and Joseph in a really good way. I also really like Joseph's relationship with Lysol, because one thing that we didn't mention is in the summary is the reason that Joseph shat on the car is because Lysol got picked up for something, and Joseph knew that no one would come and bail Lysol out unless Joseph got picked up as well. So he intentionally got himself caught and arrested so that Trailer would come and pick up both of them. So that's another really interesting relationship of there being a character who was an outcast not because of necessarily anything he did, but just, again, because of who he is. And, like, this character whose naivete both damages and also is something that he's not stupid. He uses the fact that everyone thinks better of him to help Lysol out. I really like Joseph as a character. I think, like, he kind of suffers from some main character syndrome where he's just a little too perfect, but there are moments where we really see him shine, and I really like him. And I like that his relationship with Charlie really drives home the themes of the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree.
And while
I've enjoyed talking about this movie, I think it's given me a deeper appreciation for it.
The movie
as well.
has so many layers to so many parts of it, right? Even little things that, like, kind of sort of get played for jokes a little bit. Because, like, I don't know, there's the one scene where Charlie and Joseph have brought the dude back with them, and he's got, like, his daughter who's about to turn, and they're trying to, like, everyone's trying to have a conversation in front of him, so they're not speaking English, and he keeps, as the guy who just got brought back to them to hopefully get taken care of by them, he's getting mad at them for this, and he keeps yelling at them to speak English.
It's like, what are you saying? Speak English.
Yeah.
I'm like, the nerve.
Yeah, right. the
nerve
fucking
of you,
audacity.
Yeah,
here.
oh man.
And it's like, it's funny, but it's also the statement that it is making, because it's like, well, this is what we do. And that it, I don't know, I feel like the balance of, like, statement and concept, and also, like, there's just so much, like, I don't know, isn't that fucked up? You know, because, like, all horror movies always have to have an element of that, right? Where it's something happens and you're just like, oh man, this is just absolutely fucked, isn't it? There's a scene in this movie where a woman who has just freshly given birth eats her baby.
Yeah.
That's fucking fucked up.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I love that as a
I feel like this
precursor.
movie-
Charlie wasn't there for that, doesn't know it happened.
Right, but she hears about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just
Wild
Yeah,
stuff.
I feel like every angle that this movie is going at, it's just swinging really, really hard. And the biggest thing that's holding it back is just, like, budget.
Yeah. Yeah.
The concept, the writing, it's all very, very there.
Yeah, it's really fun. I, again, think that I would have liked more on certain things. Because while Joseph and Charlie and Lysol are all really interesting, I think it does feel like an ensemble for, I don't know, but then I'm thinking of Day of the Dead and how well I think that the dialogue just needed to be a little snappier. I think there's a lot of dialogue in this movie that doesn't necessarily serve to further the characters' personal motivations or the themes. It's just kind of there to be dialogue in a zombie movie. Like the dipstick blowjob line is very funny, but when we get lines like that in Day of the Dead, a lot of the shit brain lines that those men say directly tell you about their beliefs about their situation and the world that they live in a way that I don't think the lines in this movie do as much.
Yeah. Okay.
I guess I can see that. Although it does give me a pretty good idea of what Lysol's like.
It does, but that's like bare minimum for character dialogue. You can do a lot more than just that. But yeah, no, I love Lysol, and I love how quotable.
Yeah,
this
and we
movie
do
is.
get that kind of thing from him in other lines of his.
But when you have such a big cast,
we don't get that from everyone.
Yeah, when you have such a big cast, every line you give those characters counts. Which is something that a lot of superhero ensemble movies fail at, that Guardians of the Galaxy did really well in that first movie, because every single line tells you something about what the characters think of each other, their situation. Like, nothing is just to be funny, even though it is a funny movie. Even the stuff that, like, they're needling each other about tells you more about what their goals are and whether or not they are being genuine in their goals, you know? And you could say that a little bit about Lysol, the fact that he's able to joke around during this situation, 100%. I just think that, like, when Rocket's joking about shit, we get to hear a lot about who he is as a person and what he's been through in a way that I don't think we get from Lysol as much, and I wish we did. But I did like this movie a lot.
Yeah. Speaking of every single line, actually, just this is a small thing. The one character, I think his name's Bumper, never says a single word of English the whole movie.
Yeah, I liked him.
Love it.
I love that. I think that's cool.
He's just vibing.
Yeah.
Just here.
He loves his chainsaw.
I liked the weapons in this movie. I know we already talked about that
They're
a
like,
little bit.
Where's Bumper? Oh, he's up in the woods. Oh, yeah, where'd you expect him to be? Yeah.
Yeah, he just lives in the woods. That's his thing. And oh my god, right before the time skip, when he saves Trailer using his chainsaw, first time you see it in the movie, he like cuts that lady's head in half with it. Holy shit, that looks incredible.
That was so fun.
Yeah.
That's a fantastic
I think
kill.
there was only one moment where the effects just did not do it for me, and it was when that zombie fell out of the window. That was a hilarious fucking scene, though.
Oh, okay. I think it's the part where the grandpa kills Moon, the old guy, with his katana,
yeah, no, you're
chops
right.
through
That
half
was
his
not
face.
great either, yeah.
It does not look good.
I thought it was going to be the scene where right after Trailer, that was the dad, right after Trailer dies or is dying, and they show like the door leading outside, and there are these two zombies running towards them, and they get hit by a car that suddenly appears.
Yeah.
The CGI there's a bit rough.
Well, the thing about the zombie falling out of the window, hilarious scene. Loved that.
You want to give me a heads up?
Absolutely.
He's coming
Watch out.
down.
And
Watch
strikes
out.
the legs.
The practical effects, because it's very clear that like they had a practical zombie torso, but they just the movement of it in the scene where it initially falls was CG, and I'm like, that's what distracted me, because when they cut to the other angle, it's like that's very clearly, obviously, like a real prop. So it was just not spliced super well, but most of the practical
Shiny the wrong
effects
way.
were great. The costuming was great. I will say I totally did not pick up on the fact that it was set in the 80s.
It says 1981 right at the beginning.
Well, no,
Yeah,
I
it
didn't
says
like
right in
feel
the
the tone.
reservation, and then it says 1981.
I did not. It was not something that I like had in my head the whole time I was watching, because I just watched
right.
Lisa
Okay.
Frankenstein, and the whole similar problem with that movie. A lot of the way throughout, because I've watched movies from the 80s. Heathers is one of my favorite movies, and Heathers is like, I don't know if that's actually the 80s, but it is around then. The thing about Heathers is like Lisa Frankenstein tries to pull off that aesthetic, and in my opinion, it's still just a little too modern, and this movie did the same thing for me, where it's like, I know this is set in the 80s, but I don't feel 80s by this movie. I think another part of it is maybe the dialogue. Because in a lot of 80s movies, there's a lot of slang that we just don't hear anymore. And people try and mimic the real life slang. But then again, watching Heathers and other 80s movies, like the Friday movies and all that, there's a difference between the way people talked in the 80s and the way people in 80s movies talk.
Right.
And I feel like a lot of movies that want to be like homages to 80s movies just completely miss that. And I think maybe that was part of it for this one, is that Charlie, to me, does not talk like a character who lives in the 80s.
No, she doesn't.
So that was kind of what I meant by that. I know it's set in the 80s, guys.
I feel like it's just one of those, it's a lot, if not 90% of the issues with this movie would be fixed by one more pass at the script.
Yeah, honestly.
Because, like, if nothing else changed, the slightly janky CG here and there, the couple of things that don't quite land, but, like, everyone's dialogue was, like, just a little tuned up. And even that being said, once again, can't stress enough, this is not a bad movie.
No, this is like a borderline,
not
remotely.
the
This is
borderline
good.
perfect like zombie movie as far as like, again, using tropes to their fullest.
There's a lot of great trope usage.
absolutely.
There's a lot of actual like heavy messaging going on in it. It's just, this.
I just remembered the
We
MVP.
have a few things. Oh, the MVP?
Doris.
Yeah.
Oh, I love
totally
Doris.
fucking forgot about
absolutely
Doris. I love Doris.
I love Doris. It was devastating to actually end up seeing her on screen, because I
looked
knew as
about
soon
how
as
I
she
imagined her.
No, because as soon as she hit the screen, I knew she was gonna die.
Oh yeah, true.
Yeah, and that's unfair to her.
Yeah.
Doris is great. She does the thing that a lot of white people her age definitely would do in the 80s, which is referring to her indigenous coworker exclusively as Chief.
Yeah, because he's a cop, that didn't register with me, but yeah.
But I did like her dynamic with him, and I did like I like, sheriff characters in the apocalypse are always fun. And I would love to see, I know they wouldn't get
the
along.
ACAB leaving my body when there's zombies around.
I'd love to see Rick Grimes and Trailer, but they'd have to meet in a very specific circumstance that would require them to get along. Because I think they could. I think they just would have to meet in a situation where they're on equal footing.
Yeah, if they just ran into each other, it probably wouldn't go super great.
But if one of them had to
first.
save the other from a situation, they maybe could get along. I'm here writing fanfic on air. Sorry, guys.
Next book.
No,
not another book.
I'm not going to write two sheriffs in a zombie apocalypse.
Taller.
And then they fall in love.
They already did that. You can just watch the third episode of The Last of Us TV series. It was the third episode, right? If you want gay guys in the apocalypse, there you go.
But those weren't two gruff sheriffs.
That's
no, you stop trying to sell me on this. Yeah.
I need a soft guy
I
to make
think
the big guy look
to Noah's
tougher.
point of this is a good movie and this is worth watching, we just had thoughts. Like the disparity between the IMDb and the Rotten Tomatoes is really huge. Probably like one of the biggest that we've seen.
Yeah.
Where on IMDb, I think it was like 5.9, 5.6 or something. And then Rotten Tomatoes, it's 90%.
I think consumers can be stupid sometimes. And I think, unfortunately, this is one of those situations.
Take the fact that while this movie has areas it can grow, like there are certain things like it could have done better, it is still very much a worthwhile movie. And it's definitely like worth your time.
It absolutely is. And I will say, I think I said this when we talked about doing this. This is a movie I don't hear a lot about.
No,
I don't hear a lot about Shudder movies, like ever. But I heard about this one. I heard a lot about this one. I heard it was good. I heard it was fun. I heard it was like the premise. People talked a lot about this movie to me, and I have wanted to watch it for a long time, so I was really excited. And I don't get that a lot with movies that are like kind of niche in the horror community. So this movie has a cult following, and I think it needs more of one.
Now, what I will say though is I could be very, very wrong. This, I believe, is one of Shudder's earlier movies that actually like they fully did, isn't it?
Is it?
No clue.
I'm probably wrong. I don't remember Shudder putting out movies before that.
Yeah.
In my mind.
I mean, when we started this, for me, it seemed like Shudder was still a very new
Yeah, because I know I've been using them since maybe 2018. So not very long.
And if this came out in 2019, then that makes sense.
So I know that I wasn't like a first guy to hop on the whole system or anything, but
okay, I'm looking at the Shudder exclusives list. There's a lot here.
Yeah, they've had a lot of movies.
It looks like they started doing shows first, I
yeah,
think.
because they did they took a few shows from Sci-Fi. I know that.
Yeah,
Creepshow was their first big come in. Like they had missions in Dead Wax before that, but Creepshow took off big way.
Yeah, they did like 4 movies toward the end of 2018, which includes Satan's Slaves and Terrified.
I remember hearing about the Furies pretty early on as well, but I don't know if that was before or after Blood Quantum. No, it looks like Blood Quantum was pretty early in there.
Yep.
It's 16 movies into their filmography. They picked up Blood Quantum.
Lot. What are other
16
ones?
movies within the first like 2 years, so that's
it's
still.
But there's
early.
so many after it. There's like 100 movies on this list.
Yeah, so it was pretty early on. It's definitely out of the 16 listed. It is the one that I recognize.
Yeah, I don't think any of the rest of them took off in the same way.
No, none of these are recognizable titles at all. It's Blood Quantum is the first one where I'm like, yep, but here's the fun thing about the Shudder originals. There's out of the 16 that we just mentioned, only 4 of them are American. So yeah, we've got France, Indonesia, Argentina, Mexico, South Korea. There's a lot.
Yeah, they get them from all over.
Yeah. No.
Do you want to hit up
Sorry, I found one that was listed as
What?
an erotic black comedy
From
called
Finland.
Dogs Don't Wear Pants.
Yeah.
And I tabbed over it, and it's just a woman in black leather, head to toe with a riding crop. And then Nina started laughing at me.
Yeah, because I saw your whole thought process, and I love you.
On Shudder, you say?
Do we want to hop over to Noah's notes?
Is it Noah's Notes time? I think it is. Here I come.
I think it is.
'Cause I'm getting hungry, and I have to cook dinner tonight, so.
I cooked lunch. We
Yeah.
made stir fry. It was very good.
I
don't wanna brag, but I'm
These are
basically-
problems that we run into when we record earlier in the day. It's all of us getting hungry instead of sleepy.
Yeah, true.
It's a better problem to have.
It is,
frankly.
honestly. Okay, here we go. Noah says, "Holy fuck, a zombie fish," which
Yeah.
is pretty much exactly.
Yeah.
Noah says, man named Lysol, I'm already sold. This is Nina. Every review that I read of this that came out when the movie did, mentioned how ironic it is that his name's Lysol and this movie came out during a pandemic.
Yeah, that was definitely an accident.
No, everyone's like,
Yeah.
oh, that's so funny and ironic that that's who that is. Noah says, I hope Lysol isn't the dead man puking blood. He's not, but you're gonna wish he was with the havoc he wreaks. Noah says, God, she's dead as fuck. Who is that
wonder
in
who that's
reference
about.
to?
I don't know.
It's the
What's
whoever.
the next note
It's
after that?
it's what's her name who with the baby.
Mm.
Yeah, because the next line is holding on her, she's gonna move, ? And then she didn't because they drove away.
One thing that I will say again about the 6-month time jump is that similar to Dune Part 2, this movie really set itself up to have to do things in a specific time frame by having a character be pregnant.
Yeah.
Because I know that in the books things move slower and the baby does get born, but because of something that Denis, it must have been Denis, clearly wanted to do with Dune Part 2, everything has to take place over months because the baby does not get born yet. I don't know why
Yeah,
that
it's
decision.
supposed to be like 4 years there.
Yeah, so similar to that, the reason for the 6-month time skip is definitely because they know that when we know Charlie is pregnant, that we know the end game is something happening with the birth, so we can't skip too many months. Noah says, there's a lot of, damn, this is heartless, you could say, but also, look, this girl is lying about the bite, the dude lied about his daughter, they have a constant flow of people lying, and they're doing their best to try and help. I don't know, it's hard, but it makes sense. Yeah, every person that they do let in during this movie is lying about being infected, so there is that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, getting rid of the blanket and burning it immediately is a reference to smallpox blankets.
Yeah.
So out of the 2 movies I've seen in the past 12 months that reference smallpox blankets, this was definitely the better reference.
Yikes.
The other one's Oppenheimer, I'm pretty
no,
sure,
it was
wasn't
Barbie.
it? Oh, Barbie.
Oh.
Barbie, that was it. Sorry, same time frame.
It was the one
the
thing about
fuck?
the Barbie movie that everyone was like, let's see. Here we go. Noah says, take your shirt off. Let me have a look. We're about to see so many scars. It is a trope that I have mixed feelings about. But with this one, I was like, damn, that's a lot of bites.
That's a lot of bites.
If this man wasn't immune, he would be so fucked. Noah says, Muppet is such a funny last name. Whose last name is Muppet?
Muppet, the guy who owned the gas station. They're
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Muppet's place.
Okay. Noah said, damn Lilith ate Lysol's penis. Rip buddy, that blows. LOL, no pun intended.
Rip.
Seems like you did intend that pun.
Noah says, this movie is really
Well.
funny though. Noah says, Nina's when they love Lysol the best, but then the dad chops dudes with the fucking katana and they're all, actually, Dad is my favorite. Yeah.
That's right.
This is true. That last scene really, I love that.
I wish he had a little more screen time, honestly.
Me too. Noah says, you can tell, Charlie, this is Charlie, right?
Yeah.
You can tell Charlie is fucking white because she raised her hand to ask a Whedon line. Do you remember what it was? I remember
Yeah,
it was
like,
so bad.
I think we should probably get out of here. Something
Yeah,
like
it was
that.
something to that effect. And I was like, oh, God. Noah says, white people go crazy for country music, zombie thing notwithstanding. I don't remember what this is in reference
he
to.
pops a tape into the player and it just starts playing country music really loud, so the zombies go after him because of the noise. But it's funny because all the zombies are white, chasing the country music car as it drives away.
Yeah, I like that part too.
That's fun.
Noah says, infuriating that the what happened question went unanswered when it's wildly important to pass along that Lysol is a direct threat to the safety of the group. Yeah. These characters do not communicate very well. Noah says, no, Doris. Noah says, to be read as Panic at the Disco. Birth in the zombie outbreak. Noah says, Joseph, please listen to Charlie. I think she knows how far along she is on the zombie thing. And then Noah says, bleak as shit wrap up here, truly and horrifically depressing. Yeah, it's rough. That's
I think
Noah's
it's
notes.
an important feature of a good zombie movie to have a
absolutely.
really bleak ending. It seems like they do best when you do that, and I'm glad that this movie didn't shy away from it.
Me too. Very, very happy they didn't shy away. Because, like, let's be real, there wasn't a lot going on in the front half to make me think, this is going to end smoothly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. True.
Anyway,
True.
that's Blood Quantum. Do watch it, especially if you like zombie. I would say, if you're not really familiar with zombie movies and tropes, still watch it. But if you are super familiar with zombie movies and media and tropes, this is definitely one for the books.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like it. What's our next movie?
Our next movie is called Pontypool. I think it's a really fun new take on zombie kind of stuff. And when I say new, it's from like 2011, 2008.
Okay.
Late 2000s, early 10s is kind of the area of time that it's from, but it's a flavor of zombie that I haven't seen anywhere else. It's also a Canadian movie. Have any of you guys seen it, or is it just me?
I've seen
not.
it.
I haven't even
Noah
heard of
says
it.
he has.
Yeah, we watched it together.
Did we? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it, but I've heard about it, not just from Jeff, but from various horror media people.
This is, I'm going to say, maybe our actual first true deep cut. Because it's hard to actually find this one.
It's on Shudder right now.
It is on Shudder right now, but like you can't buy a physical copy of this. It's really expensive and very collectible.
God,
I've been keeping an eye open for the last like
Interesting.
10 years. It's just not really around.
Um,
Fair warning, going into this, there is a little bit of some racism in this because the staging of the movie is a shock jock DJ.
Yeah.
Well,
it's also, though, it's important to note that when the racism is portrayed, it's important that the whole time you're thinking, wow, this is some racism, because that's what most of the characters in the scene are thinking.
Yeah, no one is actually really comfortable with it. It's one of those things where the guy's like, great, and the worst part of my job now, I have to put this on. Yeah,
Okay.
But there is so that no one's blindsided. Because I think that was the only thing that would actually like maybe blindside someone in the movie outside of the really cool story.
I'm excited. Okay. That's what we're watching next time. And reminder that if you are part of our book club, you have only a couple weeks left to read Clown in a Cornfield.
Basically,
for those of us like me, that means, hey, Noah, you only have a few weeks left to read Clown in a Cornfield.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah, I'm about to start it.
3.
I read the first chapter the other night.
I have a book Ghoul to Gab, but I'm going to save it till we're talking about books, and also because I haven't finished it yet because it's so good that when I could tell the climax was coming, I decided to take a really heavy break to kind of just process what I'd read so far before I get into the end here.
Oh, that's
so
fun.
Yeah,
I'm
valid.
really excited to talk about it when we get there, but I will bring it up then.
Cool.
Until then,
Yeah.
Nice.
this has been Casual Obsession, the horror movie podcast where we talk about horror movies. I've been Nina, one of your 4 hosts. You can find me at Nina Wolverina on Twitter and Instagram and Blue Sky, and also on Tumblr at Nina Wolverina with a 3. That's where I'm undoubtedly the most active, both with art and with shit posting. There's a lot of gore-filled art that I'm not posting to a lot of other socials except on alts that I am just raw dog posting to Tumblr. So if you want to see literally everything unfiltered, Tumblr is where to be. Yeah, that's it for me. How about y'all?
I am Noah. You can find me as Bubbadabad, Bubbadabad. I'm on Twitter and Letterboxd. I'm on Blue Sky. Letterboxd is where obviously my most activity is because of the movie thing. keep up, engage, have fun with me. It's a good time.
Hell yeah. I have been Jeff. You can find me on Tumblr at What Is It You Pray For?
And I'm Emma. You can find me on Twitch and Twitter at Emma Panada. I'm also writing a TTRPG called All the Witches. You can find information about that at allthewitches_ on twitter.com. This will be perhaps the only time I'll mention this. But I've been streaming a lot. Not on my Emma Panada Twitch account, but on a new Twitch account, which is Jellyfwitch. That's Jelly and then F Witch. But if you want to come hang out, then you can.
Yeah.
Sean has been hanging out with me, and I love them. But thank you so much, everybody, for listening to our episode. We really appreciate you, and we will see you next time.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.